Hello, welcome back to Live Reality Games Podcast. My name is Steven, and we're here today to talk more about Surviving Bloomington, episode 11. And with me today, I'm joined with guest host Tyler. Tyler, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Stephen. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Yeah, I'm super excited you're here to talk about this episode because this, honestly, I think might just be my favorite episode of the season so far. I mean, what were your initial thoughts of it?
Oh, yeah, I think that my feelings exactly. Um, I thought that it was a great episode. A little twists and turns. It had some humor in there all around. Great episode. I think it'd be my favorite of the season so far.
And honestly, like the humor really like I loved it. I love just the little word slash on the screen, like the kind of like the little gifable or meme moments occurring. And we'll definitely talk about one or two of those in impact. But I just love how the auction played out. I love how we saw the players strategizing as well as what the crazy ending, which I didn't see coming at all. I thought
Uh,
like when you see everyone's names come up, Adam, the voting booth, like, oh man, this is a farewell to our former winner, and then well, that ended up not being the case.
I don't think anybody was expecting that to happen at all.
Yeah,
Viewers, players, nobody.
yeah, and like I feel like in at least CBS Survivor world, like we've kind of mostly written off Shot in the Dark. So like we haven't really seen it work. It's a 1 in 6. How big of a chance is it? But then we see that happen. We're like, okay, yeah, maybe people need to always like be more cognizant of this exists.
Yeah, and I will say the twist that Casey's added, being able to trade them, I think is a great addition.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think if we saw that on the CBS Survivor, we would get a lot more action out of it. There's so much value there, but I feel like Casey's just really maximized it in Surviving Bloomington.
Yeah, I mean, Casey needs to go email whatever the little email address Jeff Probst's using for the Come On In podcast, or no, not that. It's like On Fire with
On
Jeff Probst. There
fire.
you go. He needs to email them that idea and see if Jeff Probst can respond because I think
I
like
think it's great.
CBS would really benefit from implementing that. But we were talking a little bit before the podcast, but Tyler, you are the showrunner of another Survivor game in Indiana. You said 20 minutes away from Bloomington itself, Survivor Indiana. Tell me about your game.
Yeah, so mine's a little bit different from most, at least that I've seen in the live reality community so far. But Stephen, you told me there are a couple others like mine. We do a 1 day game. It is fast and furious, but do all the tribals, all the immunity idols, everything. We just pack it into 1 day. So it is fast, furious, and every single move counts.
So I got asked, so like, are you starting like 7 a.m. and and like what time is your normal end time?
The end time has varied year to year based on the people that we have in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we usually start, castaways get there at like 8 a.m. and we hit the ground running. Um, we leave a little bit of wiggle room for a merge around,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, 1 to 3. And then depending on, like I said, depending on the players and the social dynamics on the second half of the game, sometimes it's been able to speed up a little bit. But other times, we finished at like 11:30 midnight. So really just depends on the pace of play for the players. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Because I thought Surviving Bloomington was fast, considering like the first photo outs within like hour 3, hour 4 of the game. Because a lot of these other games, they give you like a full day kind of meet and greet, get to know
Yes.
people. And Surviving Bloomington's like, nope, we're going straight into it. But a 1 day game is something else completely entirely.
Yeah. So I'll say that the biggest twist that we have compared to most, we've actually uh, recently, the past 3 years that we've had the game, we have built it off of Sarah Lacina's one of her ideas that she had. So before Winners at War, they interview all the players and they say, what is a big twist that you expect to have for this season? And Lacina shares her idea of everybody goes to tribal council and you always cast a vote, but no one is immediately sent home. And those votes tally on a scoreboard. And then at the end of the game, whoever received the most votes is eliminated, and whoever received the fewest votes wins. So I heard that idea and I thought that's great because we got people driving in out of state, flying
Mm-hmm.
in to play this game. And it's kind of just an opposite. It's another variation of a redemption island. We can
Mm-hmm.
get people to stay in, get back into the game. So it's built off of her idea, but we have it so that that's only the front half of the game. So those votes tally up on a scoreboard, and then we call it the purge. So you have to survive the purge to make the merge.
So how did you end up discovering surviving Bloomington?
Well, I was actually on, I think it was the Rob Has a Podcast page. Somebody sent a link to a live reality games page, and then that's where I saw it. And I saw it and I was like, I cannot believe this right now. Like, I didn't know. It's 20 minutes away from where we host our own game. And then I saw it and I immediately had to contact Casey, or I had to figure out who he was first and then messaged him. So I look forward to, I think that Casey and I will have a good relationship. I don't see it as like competition at all. I think that if anything, we could just grow the community and make both of our games greater. So that's my hope moving forward.
Yeah, Survivor games are complementary. They're not substitutes.
Oh, yeah.
You're not fighting for the same contestants. In fact, maybe you can lead people like to each other's games.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope in a future season you have some Surviving Bloomington alums competing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the hope.
So, getting back to the season as a whole, I mean, so what are your thoughts so far? Like, who stood out to you? What surprised you?
As the season as a whole, I'll honestly say the player that has surprised me the most has been Dallas. So I didn't know any of these players coming in. So I'm watching this fresh eyes. I don't know who any player is. But after I watched that preview episode introducing all the players, I wrote down, who do I think is going to make the merge, final three, all that. And Dallas was one that surprised me. I didn't have him making the merge, but he has played a great social game. His timing was great early on. But then now I found myself rooting for, Hannah. Jordan's playing a great game. Adam, we'll talk about him a lot, I'm sure, later on in this episode. But he just, everything seems to be working for him right now. A great season overall.
So I guess like, what has anything surprised you about how the season has progressed then? Like, was there a person you're just like, for sure this person is like endgame or making the merge and hasn't?
And hasn't. I thought that the front half of the game, I thought the Rosie, Adam, Megan Wolf, I thought that was going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think that everyone else made the move at just the right time to get rid of Megan Wolf. I had her picked in my final three. She was my ultimate winner pick. So I was a little heartbroken when she got voted out, but I think it was the right move for everyone else, or else I think that those three people would have, I feel like they had a strong alliance to run it all the way to the end.
Valencia Burns has a comment saying, that she was familiar with two players before she started watching, but one of the interesting things about this All-Star season is because the prior seasons weren't filmed and there's not a lot of information out there besides what we're given through the episodes, right? Like, even though it's an All-Star cast, it's a very much of a first-time experience for us as viewers. How has that felt for you?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And watching through, I feel like I find myself rooting for Hannah because I feel like I'm almost watching this game through her lens. Like, she didn't know anybody. I don't know anybody. So I think just watching it through that lens, soaking in all the information you can get. I've been very impressed with Hannah, honestly, and I find myself rooting for her now because of that.
One thing that I like in this episode, we see Rosie and Jordan talking, and they bring up like, we were working with each other last season and things didn't work out. And we want to make sure things do work with each other. And I was like, oh, right, that is a thing. I remember it had been mentioned earlier on, but I just totally slipped my mind that there was this stronger Jordan Rosie connection going on that just, I was like, that is a thing from past seasons. And I forgot that it was a factor here. And now we're seeing it is a factor, given we see Jordan having this side alliance with Adam and Rosie that's so strong, where she's really coming at the bat, moving votes off of them. Yeah,
Jordan's done really well this season. I think that especially last episode and this one, I think she's really stepped it up a notch, and you're seeing her gain control of her game. And we actually, I think, can see her game plan a little bit more clearly than everyone else's after this episode.
Hmm.
We got a lot of good confessionals from her talking about who she wants to be in a final three with, and then also we kind of get her pecking order for who she wants to take out
Hmm.
next.
Well, and we're going to talk a lot about ideal pecking orders because Adam not going, I think, really wrenches with a lot of people's idealized endgame setups and flow. Um, but I'd say let's start at the top of the episode, right? We kind of start around camp. We hear people joking about the touchy subjects where everyone's discussing like why is Jordan slashing people's tires and who else would slash people's tires. And Casey come along and we start with I think it's a really unique immunity challenge. Kind of playing up on the idea of everyone's out hunting for idols. This time, the idol is just a flat out immunity necklace, and players have to go hunt for it, kind of in the dark. And players, I didn't go back and double check, are given a word scramble, but it seems like everyone had a different word scramble with a different hint. Was
Yeah,
that
I
your
think
impression? Yeah.
that's we get the one example on the screen.
Yeah.
Screen, I think it said like not at merge camp,
Okay.
but then we get a couple of shots of other people's clues, and they did not look similar at all. And I think actually Dallas, there's a scene with Dallas and Adam later on where they confirm nobody had the same clue.
Mm-hmm. And so I wonder if players knew that all the clues were different, and maybe they did, and I just missed it. I also really failed at unscrambling the clue. I got good at the blank camp. And I was like, these last letters don't make sense. And then I just kind of shrugged and moved on with my life. So you did a better job unscrambling than me.
Oh yeah, the word scrambles. Oh, they showed the answer on the screen. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
I totally it totally went over my head then. I totally missed the answer.
Went right to writing the notes before they
Yeah, I
popped it
paused
up on the
it.
screen.
I started typing out the letters, started messing around with it on a Word doc, which is far easier than a piece of paper.
Oh yeah, word scrambles are not my forte, so I would have definitely been looking to pair up with somebody.
Mm-hmm. So if you were in this challenge, right, what would your strategy have been?
Well, I think this is very dependent on where you believe your position is in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So for Jordan, Megan, Dallas, we see them immediately team up, and I think that that's the right move because they've been working together. So for them to work on this together, try to find immunity together, it all makes sense. I feel like they're going to try to protect each other at the vote anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But then like Adam running off on his own, he's
Mm-hmm.
obviously in danger from the
Mm-hmm.
last vote. He knows he's kind of still on the bottom, or actually from the two previous votes, he
Yeah.
feels like he's on the bottom.
Well, he wasn't voted for last round, but I mean, he played his idol.
Yeah.
And then the round before, he played his shot of the dark successfully, and so he's continually under fire.
Yes, absolutely. He's under fire. So it made sense for me why he ran off on his own because he feels kind of like he's all alone. But if I was in the challenge, I personally just know that I'm not that great at word scrambles. So I would have been looking at any of my alliance members to try to work on it together and see if we could get that immunity as a team.
So, because one thing that surprised me about when Adam took off sprinting is, had he even solved the word scramble at
No.
that point? Yeah,
No.
it's like he just went off. I was like, hey, and like it sounds like it may be like if he had stepped back, talked with Rosie, worked together the kind of scrambler clues, and have a better idea of where to go. But I like the fact that all the clues are separate, so it's really kind of like currency for the players to use in trying to win the challenge. Like, whose information can you get? And you heard a lot of trading of mostly trading Hannah's information. I felt.
Yes, I thought that was actually really funny that we got 3 different people talking about Hannah's clue. They said Hannah said that it was under a fallen tree. Hannah said it was by a big tree. So it's just like it keeps changing as it goes to different people, and I just thought that was really funny. And then, of course, I think all the scenes are people looking under these fallen trees. So it's just funny to see that play out.
Now, if you found the hidden immunity, let's say, or not the immunity necklace or the immunity stick in this case,
Yeah.
the trinket. Let's say you find it alone. What do you then do?
Oh, I think they're all grateful that Megan told everyone.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're going to be up all night. I think we get a little bit of that at Tribal Council, where Jordan says she's thankful that the person that did find it did speak up. Um, Again, I think it depends on the positioning in the game. If I'm Adam and I find that, I'm not telling anybody.
Mhm.
I'm not telling a soul. I'm gonna try to exhaust everyone. I want there to be confusion, chaos. Um, but I think Megan did the right thing, especially since um, she did get or she was voted playing the best game.
Mhm.
So I think that she kind of had to try to get back into favor with some players, maybe, because that did put a little bit of a target on her back.
Mhm.
So by just stepping up and saying, "Hey, everybody, I think I found it," um, that could at least put everyone's minds at ease, and they could at least get some rest that night. So it was a great move by Megan, I think. But if I was Adam and found it, I definitely would have been sharing that information.
So one thing that was interesting with the challenge, it was deliberately set up to allow people to substitute the real trinket with whatever they wanted, probably another stick. Are you telling me you would not have been tempted to carve a smiley face in a stick, put it in the cloth, and see if people believed it?
Well, if I had time, maybe I would have thought of that, but that would have been a good move.
Well, because I love the, like Megan gets the wrap cloth, and so she and Dallas are kind of like leaning on the hood of the car, just looking absolutely exhausted. And they're unwrapping the stick, like, is this it? I don't know. It could be fake. Maybe someone found it already. And like we as viewers think it's some really elaborately carved stick. It's hard to believe that this is something fake that someone just made off a moment. But there's such skepticism and doubt as they're looking at this. It's just
Yes.
so amusing.
Yes. So when we get that scene, I actually texted Casey and asked him about this because he made it very clear when he was introducing the challenge. He said, um, I will not
Hmm.
confirm or deny the validity of an idol until tribal council.
Hmm.
So I texted him and I was like, my immediate thought was, did Casey go out there and hide fake trinkets in the woods? Is there other things out there that could mislead players? And I don't know if, honestly, if it weren't for CBS Survivor and all the fake idols they have now, I probably wouldn't have thought that. But that's where my mind went. So I texted Casey, and he actually told me that he clearly stated that line because he knew the trinket was a stick.
Hmm.
So he wanted to put that seed of doubt in everybody's mind that if you find it, ask yourself, is this the idol? And then we just see it play off perfectly with Dallas and Megan finding it, and then that scene at the car where
Well,
they're just really
it's
doubting themselves.
this wonderful callback to, is it what? It's fans versus favorites, right? With Eliza and the stick, and like, is it Eliza and Jason? I can't remember who the
Eliza
guy.
and Jason, yeah.
Yeah, and just like and like Megan and Dallas kind of step into those roles, and it's very funny.
Yes, love that scene.
Um, so, and anything else you want to talk about with this immunity challenge?
No, I got nothing else on that
Yeah,
one.
no, honestly, like at that late at night, you're so exhausted. I think everyone, for a good reason, was thankful that Megan's like, "Hey, I found it. Let's all go to bed now." And it's like, "Yay!"
Yeah, yeah. Everyone's very grateful for Megan in that moment.
So we open up the next morning with a Survivor auction. Now, Jeff Probst doesn't think that we deserve auctions, but thankfully, Survivor Bloomington does think we deserve auctions. Um, do you what's your approach to an auction? Are you just buying whatever you can buy? Are you trying to time it for something in particular?
Um, well, if I had known the history of surviving Bloomington, if they do it every season, I think that would help in
Hmm.
this scenario. So I do think going in, Hannah kind of had a little disadvantage because maybe the other players knew something that she didn't.
Hmm.
Um, and then I'm assuming he tells everyone that there's no advantages or
Hmm.
anything that you need to save your money for.
Hmm.
I think it looks like right off the bat that he offers up the bullet, but then after that it's prizes and
Hmm.
lose votes. So
Yes.
I really like the way he did it, especially with each item that you buy, you get that advantage pull. I think that's a nice addition.
So I know surviving real fit. I can't remember if this was KC season. I can't remember if it was or not. They've had auctions that function this way. And I like it because, you get people bidding, you get people looking for the food. You don't have the everyone's holding on their $500 until they can go all in for some unknown advantage. And so I think either this twist or like the advantage is hidden in some food item itself, so the person who's buying it doesn't know they're getting something. I think those are my two favorite ways of remedying like the people holding on to their money issue that Survivor CBS has faced.
Yeah, that's pretty creative, hiding the advantage in the food. I like that.
And so that way a person gets something then like, oh, surprise, or something else. And the question is, can they be sneaky about it when like everyone's like, oh, food, show us your donuts or whatever it was. So we have to talk about the covered items, because I think this is Casey preying on people's meta-analysis Survivor, where the cover items are always the most coveted and desirous things. And we just see almost everyone just get burned by them.
Yeah, I think we get 2-3 in a row where you get a jar of dirt or
It's like
just nothing.
Yeah, like a jar of dirt, a pile of grass, a jar of pickles, and then like I think Rosie walks out with a speaker set. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's the range of potential is wild.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought there was a great variety in the items.
So talking about what people purchase, I think was there any item there you've been like I would purchase myself, like one things that like you're like, okay, I would want that if I was playing at this point?
Well, I actually have a few of those puzzles that Casey was talking about. So I've purchased some of those just on my own. So if I was out there and I was like, yeah, I'll take another one of those because they're a lot of fun.
I've been meaning to buy some of those myself, given that Survivor CBS is quite proudly saying we use the same puzzles over and over. Go practice yourself. It's like, okay.
Yeah, they've made that clear.
How much did you bid for a bullet?
For a bullet, gosh, seeing how effective they have been, because we've seen Adam already come back from using the bullets, and then get Devontae, who's able to accumulate 6 in one round to save himself. I think that the bullets are huge. So if you think you might be needing one soon, I probably would have gone all the way up to 500 if I needed to, even if it is a Hail Mary.
Valence is saying you should buy the puzzle, and honestly, I'd probably buy it too, just because I don't have those yet. So I'd be like, okay, that would be very tempting, because that'd be like a real like prize to walk out of the game with, is like legit Survivor puzzles for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have gone. I was surprised the bidding wasn't as high for the bullets, and maybe because they expire final 6 and there's not many left, but clearly they still work as we see this episode. I like that. That was interesting where Hannah was just like, I just want to outbid Adam every time.
Yes, I loved that she did this because she was playing with a clear intention right from the get-go. She didn't even want to bid on certain things. She was just like, I can't let Adam get an advantage pull. I think in her mind she was thinking, I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure I can get Adam out of this game. That actually brings me to an interesting point that I thought. When they offered the bullet, Adam, he bid 140, and then Hannah outbid him, I think, at 160, and he was like, I'm out. The very next item that we see were those Lunchables. And then Adam goes up to 240, and then Hannah goes 260, and he's like, I'm out. So I thought it was just very interesting that he drew his line for the bullet when he knows his back is against the wall at like 140, and then he goes almost doubles that for the Lunchables the very next turn.
Yeah, I agree that maybe his pricing valuation may be different from ours. I mean, and also in terms of breakfast, what do you think is a better breakfast? Krispy Kreme donuts or 2 Lunchables?
Man, I would have loved some donuts out there.
Yeah. It was just like, but it's Survivor. Like it's day 4. The game will be wrapped up by probably 5 o'clock that evening, maybe 8 o'clock. I don't know. There's dinner. You're getting dinner that day, no matter what. And so it's like you hopefully you can push through the hunger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other one was like the fact there's a beer making kit. I was just like, my gosh, like I love the fact there was some very off the wall cool items in this thing, like real life things you can walk out of the game with that tempt people with. That I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, and to get that beer making kit for only $80, that seems like a deal to me. I mean,
Yeah, I think we just need Casey to get a car sponsorship in a future season so we can roll in a brand new Kia or something like this and just have people compete for that. That we can start saying, wow, is do we have a car person at live reality games as well? I don't know.
oh, I'd love to see that.
I mean, that would
Casey, if you're
peak
watching, take
sponsorship.
notes. We need a car next season.
And so we end up seeing that Rosie won 3 items, Jordan Mia won 2 items each, and everyone else got one. And because I guess Hannah's shot in the dark doesn't count towards the advantage pool because she already got an advantage. I guess like I was surprised that people weren't being more like just trying to like buy everything. I don't know. It was interesting that somehow that Rosie walked out with 3 draws. I wonder how he's able to make that happen.
Well, I think that the negative advantage pulls where you didn't get one
That hurt people a lot.
really changed those numbers that we saw at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Because let me look at my notes here real quick. I think we see Jordan. I think she buys like that jar of pickles for like $400.
Yeah.
Then she gets the beer making kit for 80, but she ends up with 2 advantage pulls. So I think she got an item for $20, or maybe someone gave her
Yeah.
money. I don't know.
Like there are definite rounds that we don't see as
Yeah.
audience members. Just because I remember like the little preview item they show, I can't remember what it is, but we don't actually see someone win that later on. So it's just for time of editing, we didn't see every single
Yeah.
round. But I thought it was really interesting that like the negative draws really hampered people because people burned a lot of money for like what's in the box. But
Yeah.
clearly this is Casey preying on people's like meta analysis of Survivor, where it's like, oh, the box items are always great, and then you like, I don't know,
Playing mind games.
And so when it comes to the drawing of advantages, I really liked first of all that Casey said, hey, each event poll you get 2 minutes. That way, no one can infer anything based off time. Rosie and Jordan both pull advantages, and we learned that there is a paired amulet advantage, a little bit like the amulet advantage we saw in season 42 that went nowhere. This amulet advantage, if both amulets are played, it's a steal of votes, which is 7-6 people, pretty powerful. If there's only one left in the game, it is a idol, also pretty powerful in the game. And so they both end up with it. And then Adam also gets a shot in the dark as a result from his pull. So he got pretty lucky there.
Very lucky. That was the thing that saved him.
What are your thoughts on this amulet advantage at this point in the game?
I like it because the idea is that it pairs up 2 people and it gives them an option to either work together or go after each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it makes it very interesting that we see Rosie and Jordan get this, because I think it's clear this episode that they are working together now, and I believe they want to go to the end together.
Mm-hmm.
So my initial thoughts are, yeah, they're going to use this as a steal a vote, but I think it all depends on what happens in this next episode. Who wins immunity? Like say Adam wins, does Jordan want to take a stab at Rosie, maybe try to get him out to make an immunity? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that I probably wouldn't have thought of. Had they not had that advantage, I think they definitely would have stuck together.
Mm-hmm.
But now they have to at least think about that as an option.
So one thing I remember, and correct me if you remember this or not, when Jordan pulls the amulet advantage, she says something kind of like, I hope Adam gets this too. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And that was really fascinating to me of hearing her say that, because we will see a 180 of Jordan and Adam's relationship by the end of this episode, which is wild.
Yes. So when she said that after drawing that pull, that's when that was confirmation Adam is going home.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's targeting him. And I think that we even see a little bit of foreshadowing earlier on, during the scavenger hunt. Adam kind of takes off on his own, and then Jordan's working in a group. Rosie joins that group really quickly, and they start working on puzzles together. So I think before this episode really began, I think something happened where that relationship decided to go separate ways, or at least Jordan did. So lost my headphones.
One last thing on the amulet advantage. So if you had the amulet advantage, are you looking just to make this an idol as quick as possible, or are you open to just keeping it as just a steal of votes?
You got to consider all options. With the 2 people that got it, I think that I would use it as a steal a vote. I think that there's a path. I think the path is better if they use it together.
And one thing that's impressive is how fast Jordan and Rosie confirm that each other has it.
Yeah, that happened really quickly.
Yeah, because there's this big information thing. It's like, do I tell allies and then I tell the wrong allies so they know I have something, or the news gets out so someone knows I have this. I don't know if they have it, so they target me as a result. It's a lot of fraud. There's a lot of information issues at hand with like, who do I tell? And but there's no problem. Like Rosie and Jordan confirm, meet up, know each other's has it, and say, great, this is for us to use together. And you're like, wow, that was fast.
Yeah. I think they have a game plan in mind, and they want to do whatever they can to get to the end together.
And so from here, we kind of start seeing players scramble and figure out where this vote is going to go. And in terms of strategy, it ends up being a very straightforward episode where everyone's just like, let's vote Adam.
Yeah, all targets are on Adam right now. And he's had some heat for a few episodes now, so he knows it. Everybody else knows it. He's in trouble.
Well, and what's more fascinating is let's target Adam and let's not bother the decoy. Is the other side of the coin.
This has got to just be from exhaustion. They've got to just be so tired. They're like, I can't do the running around anymore. Why would you not at least throw one vote on somebody else,
Can I propose a theory?
Let's hear it.
I think people are worried about making someone upset with them as they move to the end game, right? So let's say you're Megan, right? If you're Megan, you know that you need as many allies as possible. And so then who do you cast a decoy vote for? Maybe the answer is she should just put a vote on Rosie. I don't think Rosie's big in her end game, but there's a concern whoever I vote for who doesn't go home is going to come back upset that they had a vote on them, and I'm going to have to deal with that fallout, and I don't want to deal with that because my end game is fraud enough as is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I think that the advantage amulet that Rosie got might have been the difference in his decision that he makes at tribal council. Maybe he thought, I'm going to have a little bit of protection either next episode or one of the next 2 tribal councils. So maybe that's why he decided to throw that side vote out there, not go after Adam.
Well, or sometimes you just want to just keep things spicy, right?
Oh yeah, let's keep it spicy.
Yeah. So from strategy wise, we it seems very straightforward that everyone's voting Adam, and Adam's just like, uh-oh. Adam's discussing how I get more shots in the dark. How do I do this? Will Hannah give me a shot in the dark? Which I thought was the most interesting thing I heard him say. But it seems room for Adam. In terms of alliance structures, we really see there is some potential of a different voting block, right? Where Adam, Rosie, and Griffin potentially are going to come together and vote Mia, but the problem is Hannah's the swing vote to make this happen, and Hannah just wants Adam out of the game. That's all she wants in life, and she's not voting Mia out over Adam.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny when she's there casting her vote and giving that confessional. Writing down Adam, and I'll never stop.
Which we'll talk about that later too. And then on the other side, we have seen Mia, Megan, Jordan, Dallas really in lockstep, and I guess Hannah's part of that too. So you have this really locked in group of 4 or 5 players, and then we're seeing kind of this new pairing of Rosie, Jordan, and Hannah as well. And so I think we're firmly going to the voting block stage where we have a lot of 2s and 3s kind of coming together and deciding round by round what looks best for their future in the game.
Yeah. It's time. They need to start thinking about that end game, and we do get a few confessionals
Yeah.
where they talk about it.
I mean, it's day 4. 8 players remaining. You know you're going to the final 3, and you know, like if there's a big move, quote unquote, but if there's a way you want to define your game, like it's like 8-7-6 is when you do it. Like 5 and 4, it's possible. I feel like those votes sometimes feel more inevitable than like, wow, you really shook things up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 7 I feel like is always a huge tribal council. Just having the odd amount of players, there's a lot of variability, especially when that there's advantages in the game too.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's nice for us is we've got to say, like, Dallas played his challenge advantage at the start of this challenge. So, like, that's out of the game. So the only advantages left in the game are shots in the dark, which probably expire final 6. I can't remember when. And then these ammo advantages. That's it. Like, so, like after the idol purge last episode, there's not a lot else being thrown around. Players don't know that, but we do.
Yeah, and I think that helps us as viewers going forward too, having that clarity, knowing that's all that's left. I don't know. I tried to write down who had all the shots in the dark. I'm not 100% certain who's left with them, but I think we have. I think, at least from my notes, everybody but Megan and Dallas has 1 shot in the dark left.
Interesting.
Except, well, not Adam either. Adam used his, of course.
There's still a couple floating around.
Yeah.
I've been bad about charting shots in the dark. I probably should have done something better this start of the season because, like, Sea of Survivor just like, and this you're like, oh no, this actually matters a lot.
Yeah, there's so much at the beginning. It feels like it is a lot to keep track of, but then as we get down to the end, yeah, I mean, even if you're in an alliance and you can get 3, it's at least a 50% chance you have. So
yep.
They have a lot of value, and I think they gain more value as they reach the deadline as well, because that threat is always kind of looming. You can't just pile your votes on somebody, because that shot in the dark just might be enough to save them.
So let's start working through these players here, and like what were they doing this episode? Where they need to go from here? And I'd like to start with Griffin. You know, Griffin we saw is trying to build an alliance, right? He's constantly trying to work against this majority block, and so he's trying to bring Adam. He has Adam and Rose he can bring in, but the two pivot players here are Dallas and Hannah. And he says that Dallas is more willing to help than Hannah, but he's just like, a 4-4 is not worth it. I'm not going to split. I'm not going to rock draw, and I'm going to have to capitulate as a result of this.
Yeah, he's in an interesting position in this game. I feel like people aren't looking at him as a threat, because I feel like almost everyone, he's probably in everyone's top 4 at this point in the game. I don't think that anyone's targeting him right away, but I don't know that there are too many people that say, I definitely want him to be in my final 3. So I think he's in a decent spot after this episode.
The frustrating thing for Griffin has to be, like, it's not for the lack of desire to do something. It's that he has been unable to persuade people or have the social capital or get people to go against alliance members to make something happen. And that's probably because everyone's just so hyper focused on Adam. They're not looking at anything else besides it. So Griffin's just kind of left like, well, I can't do anything else.
Yeah, he's kind of stuck on this vote. But hey, sometimes that's all you can do.
What would you like to see from Griffin that you think would help him pitch his case to win the game?
Well, I think that he's got some things working for him and against him. I think the clear thing working against him right now is that he was already voted out of the game. So coming back in, you really never know how a jury is going to look at that. But on the flip side of things, of the people that have been voted out already, I believe that there are 5 jurors. 3 of them said that they were going to root for Griffin to win the game. So I think that is really working on his side, because I don't think that the other players left in the game believe that he has that much support on the jury.
Yeah, it's clear from how he's been playing that his social game is in pretty on point, and players are coming out very positive and high on Griffin. I just wonder, I I don't feel like players often need to make moves to define the game, but I feel like he might be in a situation where he needs to do that, kind of say like, hey, look, this is how I change the flow of the game. And I think Final Seven, Final Six can be a very, very defining time for him as a result.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I probably we'll talk more about Hannah's, but Hannah's game plan of her Rosie Griffin, that likely is gonna I think Griffin's probably looks similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's looking at the same kind of path to get to the end.
Now let's talk about Jordan, because Jordan's been a I feel like Megan's been a figurehead and Jordan's been a power broker of this merge tribe. What are your thoughts on her play this episode?
Jordan, I think, she's taken a step forward.
Mm-hmm.
She seems to have an in with every little group that there is. There's clearly the divide between her and Adam now, but I think everybody else is at least including Jordan in her plans. Mm-hmm. So I think she's doing really well, and I think she had a great episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we know Megan's right, like super tight, ride or die with Jordan. More like there's a whole issue with Dallas there, right? And like
yeah.
we hear Jordan's very skeptical. It's like, I think Megan's tied with Dallas than with me, and that concerns me. But we know she's also tied with Rosie and Adam, because she is that lifeline to Adam and has that pre-existing connection with Rosie. Mm-hmm. Hannah's like glommed onto her from the get-go, so Hannah's pretty lockstep with her as well. Mm-hmm. I do agree with her that Griffin would be a person she should target, because Griffin, I don't think, is like in the web she is woven as thoroughly as everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's definitely an option. I don't think that he's top priority right now, mm-hmm. but there's an interesting scene in this episode where I think Jordan's having a confessional, and then Griffin kind of walks up, and we see Jordan be like, go over there and break that up. And then you see Griffin trot off, and then Jordan kind of like rolls her eyes.
and she's just like commanding people like to Griffin, like, Griffin, go do this. I can't leave this too long. Go, Griffin. And Griffin just goes and do it. Like, wow.
Like Jordan's like, puppeting right now, it feels like, or at least that scene made it feel like that. So I don't know. I feel like she has to consider Griffin's not in her orbit right now, but I think that if, depending on how things shake out, Jordan might see a good reason to take Griffin at the end at some point, because she feels like she can tell that story.
Mm-hmm. Another confessional she said is she said something extended like, navigating with Megan and Mia has been difficult, and it makes her not feel good about Megan's long-term survival. She just has I thought that this too would be like this, but we see a lot of her realize Megan is not good for my end game. And so we see her internalizing it, and she even we don't know how much this is true. She pitches to Mia like, we take Adam out first, then Dallas out, and then I think we also want to take out Griffin and Megan, right? And so that would leave that would be kind of a Mia, Rosie, Jordan, Hannah final four. So we see that pitch being made. We don't know how much it's true to Jordan's full plan, so that's a plan Jordan's pitching of where she wants them to go out next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get her full game plan, which is really nice to see, and that's easier to do as we get closer to the end. You start to see better how things may shake out at the end.
Now with Megan from the Brains Tribe, or Sparky, I guess the kind of two takeaways from this episode: she's very confident in the vote. She has no desire to do a backup plan. She kind of shoots down, like, nope, I just want to vote Adam. Let's just make things simple. And then she doesn't know where the advantage is, and she kind of speculates that Rosie has it, but she's like, no one in my alliance has told me, and therefore I don't know exactly who does. And I thought that was very telling.
Yeah, that's a little bit scary for Megan, because we know that Jordan's withholding information from her. So I'm a little bit worried for Megan after this, because I don't think she knows how much trouble she's in.
How does Megan sit in the final three? What does Megan need to do that?
I think she has a tough path. Well, with that, she had that target from that earlier challenge where she was voted to be playing the best game so far. So everybody still has that in the back of their mind. And if Jordan isn't going to work with her, Well, yeah, it's tough because in Megan's mind, she thinks that Jordan is still on her side, so she's probably thinking she can go to the end with Dallas and Jordan. Um, I don't know. I don't see that happening at all. I don't think that that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Um, I really, I think Megan's in a tough spot after this episode.
Yeah, I think I don't know what Megan can do to help herself because I think she is going to be going final seven, final six. I think she is a target people are looking at as a big move on their resume, big move. But I think people are
Yeah.
looking at the topple her and kind of undermine that this leading power structure that kind of has defined the merge so far. Um, maybe what she needs to do final seven is go to Adam, bring Adam on board, and try to take out Hannah. I think the most threatening players to Megan are Griffin, Hannah, and Rosie. Right? These players are looking to jump up and take out the people on top. And
Hmm.
so I think she needs to go to Adam and say, I'm in a hard place, you're in a hard place, let's work together. And so maybe it's her, Dallas, Adam. I don't know if Rosie would be on board, but like try to get them together to take out Hannah, then flip back and take out Rosie afterwards. I don't know. I think she has to do. She needs to pull off some really strong gymnastics to kind of keep her and Dallas together, force Jordan to be in her corner, and winnow down these players that are looking to come for her.
Yeah, she's got a lot of work ahead of her, but it is possible it might be too much to ask.
Yeah, I mean, if Megan sits in the final three, I think she won't
Oh,
have an. I don't think she's gonna have a problem pitching her story. It's just her getting there is gonna be a lot harder.
oh yeah. If she makes it to the final three, I think everybody on the jury
Mhm.
will recognize what it took to get there.
Now, Dallas is a player we I don't feel like we've really gotten a great sense of his game, the confessionals from these previous episodes, and I don't think we get a lot of time with him as well. We see a lot of kind of these joint confessionals with him and Megan, kind of
Yeah.
joking about being the Jason and Eliza. What's the stick? How's it working? I don't know, but we don't really get a sense of where he's going and what he wants.
Yeah, we don't get him alone very much in the confessional, like you said. Um, so it's hard to tell what he's thinking in this moment.
Hmm.
And maybe that's it's probably done intentionally by Casey in the editing, but because I feel like he's in a similar position to Megan, where just that pair, they don't know. I don't know where they're going to go from this episode. Especially Jordan knows that she can't go to the end with Megan. She also stated, after I get Adam, I want to go after Dallas.
Hmm.
Um, for him, I'm thinking, I think he needs to do something similar to Megan, but I think he needs to break off right now. And for him to win or go to the end, I almost think I don't know if it's his best move, but it's an opportunity to go over and work with the Adam, Griffin, and Rosie
Hmm.
because they've already tried to get the guys kind of going on something before. But I just don't see him going to the end and winning if he takes a Megan or a Jordan. Um,
Yeah, I think I don't know if he believe like his from my perspective as a viewer, I've seen him
yeah.
kind of under the shadow of Megan's wing. Where if he
Hmm.
sits the end with Megan, I think he's going to be seen as like you were an asset in that Megan used to further her game. And I don't know if maybe he believes that he has a very differentiable game and story from her. They can use to set himself apart. So maybe he's confident in that and in the Final Tribal Council, so he's not worried about sitting next to Megan. But I think likely Megan just might not be in his end game either.
Yeah, that's what I'm. That's one of the things I'm most curious about after this episode is who does Dallas think is in his end game?
Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to see in the next episode where he goes. Um, Hannah gives us probably the most tangible final three because she kind of lays out exactly what she wants, and she wants her, Griffin, and Rosie, and that we're all equal threats. But I have a couple of concerns here. But I want to hear you talk about Hannah and her final three before I lay out my concerns.
Oh, okay. So she identifies Griffin and Rosie as her final three, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I think that I think it's definitely a path that she could take, but the order of which you get out these next, I think these next three tribal councils, um, clearly Adam's a target for everyone still. We know Hannah's made let that be known that she wants Adam out of the game. But then how does she break up that Jordan, Megan, Dallas trio?
Mm-hmm.
If she goes and talks, well, I think she probably should talk to Jordan first. It sounds like she had a pretty good in with her. I think Jordan, Mia, and Hannah had they were working together a little bit. So I don't know. It's going to be tough for Hannah, but I think she's still in a good spot after this, though.
So one of the concerns I had was when she names like I want Griffin and Rosie. I was like, man, I have never seen her talk to Rosie. It's like, well, like it's kind of a question like, what is her relationship with Rosie to the extent that Rosie just gonna act with us like, yeah, we're equal threats, we'll do it, or like how they've working with, like what have they been saying? I felt a little better when you heard Rosie kind of also name it, like this, hey, I want Hannah and Jordan in my final four
Yeah.
with me. So there's some mutuality with this, which is helpful.
Yeah. I don't know that we get a confessional where they're talking about each other, but it's clear that they have talked about the end game together.
Mm-hmm.
But from Rosie's point of view, which group does he go with Jordan or does he go with Hannah? Because I feel like Hannah wants one thing, Jordan wants another.
Yeah, because Hannah has had a very solid grasp of what she wanted her game to look like from the start, and for the entire time it's like, I get to the final 7, I make my mark.
Yeah,
we're entering the final 7 episode, which dropped yesterday night, I believe. So no spoilers for us because we haven't watched it yet. But she's entering the final 7. What will that look like? Like, what does Hannah need to do to make her mark and really just kind of be able to sell her game?
The hard part for Hannah is that we know she's targeted Adam, but now everyone is trying to target Adam. So for her to make a big move at this point, who does she go after? Is it going to be, I think, honestly, at this point, I almost think it has to be Jordan. But I don't know how she does that.
I think that this has been the hardest part for Hannah's game is she needs to bury the hatchet, stop targeting Adam, work with him as an ally, and use her, Griffin, and Rosie, Adam. And I don't think targeting Jordan is possible because I think Adam and Rosie are not going to let that happen yet. But I think she needs to go with a 4, get them to take out Megan or Dallas, and then and try to make sure Jordan, Megan, and Dallas are targeting Rosie or Adam or Griffin. I think she needs to ensure that the majority stays on this kind of blind like straightforward track of targeting Adam, and she needs to bury the hatchet, work with Adam, and flip it on everyone else. That's gonna be hard, given that like it feels like there's a little, not animosity, but rivalry between the two.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because we know how much trouble Adam's in, but for most of the people that we've talked about so far, we all see a path to where their next move could be working with Adam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think Adam, having been on the run this entire merge, it kind of changes his threat level. I don't know if him saying like being there and sitting the end is enough, saying, hey, I'm a former winner and I've been under fire the entire time. I think I don't know if that's been the best for his game, like not like having that story. And so I think it's kind of diminished potentially his jury threat some. And so I think if Hannah sits with Rosie and Adam at the end and says like, I gunned for Adam, but I buried the hatchet, turned around, brought him in, blindsided people, and here I am. I ran this.
Yeah,
I think that would be more compelling over Adam saying, "Hey, former winner, I had to play idols advantages, but look, I got here anyways." I think Hannah would probably have a stronger story to sell than that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that truthfully, anybody making the end, I think, has played a better game. Well,
yeah, it's an all-star cast. Like everyone who sits at the end has played hard, done hard, deserves to win in some capacity.
Yes, absolutely.
So we don't hear much from Adam behind this episode beyond Adam wanting to collect shots in the dark, asking who has them, seeing if Hannah will give hers to him. Answer probably not.
That's wild.
I mean, I got to that point, just like whatever you can do, you do.
Yeah.
How does Adam get to the final three? Any suggestions?
Well, we kind of just laid it out. It sounds like some other people might be looking to him now if they want to work with him.
Yeah.
But we know he has somewhat of a good relationship with Rosie and Griffin. So I think initially that's probably where he's going to go. He might try to rekindle some things with Jordan. And then you never know what Hannah's going to do. Maybe he tries to go back to her. I don't know how he does it, just because he has so much stacked against him right now. But yeah, he's won before, so he might know something that I don't.
We have Rosie, and so Rosie, we've talked a lot about. He's in this great spot right now, right? Where we really saw last episode him turning his social game on. This episode, he's still with Adam, but he's clearly locked in with Jordan and really protected as a result. He has this idea. My favorite confessional is he has like, here's my core four. It's going to be me, Jordan, Hannah, and I don't know.
The fourth is changing.
Which it's more like I know my three. The fourth is up for audition.
Yep, absolutely. But Rosie, he's definitely in a good spot. We know we've heard Jordan talk about going to the final three with him. There's, I guess, a plan with Hannah and Griffin to go to the final three with Rosie. I think Adam would still want to take him. But the interesting thing with Adam and Rosie this episode is that we see two separate times where Adam is lying to Rosie, which I thought was very interesting. I don't know if that relationship is still as tight as it used to be, or if Rosie has completely jumped ship. I'm not sure, but Rosie has recognized that Adam's lied to him, so I'm not sure how much is left there to work with.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that Rosie picked up on that. And then saying like, hey, like, what did you get? And Adam's like, oh, it was blank, and Rosie's like, that's not true. I drew three. I know they're not blank.
Said it was blank, and then he also, when he was asking for their bullets when he was talking to Dallas and Rosie, said, if you two give me yours, that's 33% chance. So he didn't tell them that he got a bullet in that advantage pool also.
Yeah, which was a good call. I think that probably led people to be very confident, saying no one's getting the bullets. He already played all his bullets. He's a sitting duck.
Yeah.
And the answer is not quite. And then finally, this is kind of Mia's swan song episode. And I don't feel like we heard a lot from her. We know that she shares with Jordan she found an extra bullet at the previous tribal council in the lantern. But other than that, we don't hear or see a lot from her.
Yep. And it looks like Jordan also checked that lantern, but it looked like she was kind of kicking herself because she saw the tape and was like, that's not it.
I mean, I saw the tape and I didn't think that was it either. I'm just like, just holding the battery in place.
Yeah. But Mia has really played, I think she's played a great game this season. She played, with her gut, and we get a confessional of her, I think at the end of the episode, saying, people are thinking I'm thinking, playing down the road or this future game, but I just play in the moment. She trusts her gut, which is really nice. And all season, she's delivers in her confessional. She always has something to say, which, you love as a viewer. So yeah, with her, this episode, it was tough to watch, but that happens. It's Survivor.
Yeah, I wonder the outcome of this episode really stems from this episode 1 issue between Mia versus Rosie and Adam, right? Because Mia's left out of that first vote. She swaps the next tribe. She feels more safe in this new tribe, and there's this continued friction between her, Rosie, and Adam as a result, right? And maybe if she had found a way to heal that friction and say, like, you say, hey, like, let's widen the bridge. Yeah, we're kind of separate sides now, but we work together later. Might have helped so Rosie wouldn't have picked her name to write down over everyone else's, right? But like this is kind of the conclusion of this kind of inevitability in their relationship.
Yeah.
So this brings us to the tribal council, and I, not gonna lie, tribal council, it's always a bit of a facade of people saying nice things and trying to like. Very, very rarely do you have things come out that people like to hear and like, oh, I need to change what I'm doing now as a result. But it's all good, nice and fine until Adam just comes out swinging.
Yeah, he made an aggressive move.
So what do you think of this style of tribal council play where you come out and you essentially point fingers?
It is a fine line.
Mm-hmm.
You don't make this move unless you feel somewhat desperate.
Mm-hmm. Check. So we have desperation.
Yeah, we see him come out there. He's throwing people under the bus. The tough part for him, and when people do this, the question I feel like they often aren't asking themselves is, what if I do survive this tribal council? Because I don't know where he goes after this. He's burned a few bridges with the past couple tribal council performances, and now we see him here. He survives, and
because the biggest problem is Jordan takes the biggest offense.
Yes.
To him, because one of his big steals, like, I have been stonewalled. No one here is going to work with me. Mia and Megan are the two biggest targets, but you're looking at me instead, which I'm not quite on the Mia is the number 2 person likely to win the game. Like I struggle to be on that. I can see her being a target. I don't. But again, he's calling out names. He's pointing at me and Megan, saying, "I've been stonewalled. No one's playing with me. No one's working with me. All of this is awful." Like, and Jordan takes massive offense to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we said it earlier in the episode. We don't really get that conversation between Jordan and Adam until now. So I don't. Somewhere along the line, something happened where they kind of decided to split their ways. But yeah, I just don't know who Adam can really trust at this point. So he was doing everything he could. He threw it at the wall. He's going to see what sticks.
Well, yeah, because we talked about earlier, like Jordan gets the amulet and says, "Wow, I hope Adam got this too."
Yep.
And so so like it's somewhere between like warning to like tribal council, something has changed with him, or maybe it's just like Adam's pulling this out, and Jordan's just like, "What am I?" and Jordan's like, "I have been willing to work with you. I've been more than open with you, and you've been running off. Like, you don't talk with me. You are working with me, and I have been open to it." And she kind of lays it back on him. It's like, you have played this chaotic game, and this is your fault, not our fault.
And I think that this is a huge moment in at least the players' minds, because we see it's an intense tribal council.
Yeah.
Right. People's names are getting thrown under the bus. Casey even says, "Megan, Mia, do you have a response?" Megan, she needs a second. Mia, of course, jumps out and says, "I don't feel like I'm controlling the game." But then we get Jordan, and we get that back and forth with Jordan and Adam, explaining their cases to each other. And I think that Jordan just defends herself like wonderfully in this scenario. And if I'm another player and I see Jordan at a tribal council, high intensity, and I see her, speaking with that clarity and conviction, that makes me really nervous to sit next to her at the final 3.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was, but that's why, like, I've been wondering, is like, Adam's been this perennial target. Adam has been immune in some capacity, which we'll see for now 3 rounds in a row, right? There's a little bit of an exhaustion to targeting the same person over and over. But like, given that, like, this feels Adam has like effectively torched the bridge with him and Jordan.
Yep.
Right. So do you think like final 7 people just like, he needs to go, he is going, right? And like then like they're all then like on him one more time. Or maybe it's I don't know. I wonder if that's what it's gonna lead to, just because there is now gonna be fallout from this confrontation.
Yeah, there's definitely fallout. But we don't know where the players' minds are thinking, what they're thinking. They might think, all right, well, Adam, maybe Adam is viewed as a goat in some people's minds after this tribal
Yeah.
council, and they're like, all right, maybe I can drag him to the end.
Yeah, where so it's like,
It's
like he's insulted all the players here,
yeah.
right?
It's like,
Like
is he going to get a jury vote from anybody that's still in the game?
like
Probably not.
he hasn't really run anything since the beginning of the merge. He's been on the fly. Like, do we really want to reward someone who's like played Idol's advantage to get to the end and hasn't been through other stuff? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I will say this for Adam. What makes Survivor and other games so great is that there's multiple ways you can win, right? There, and I wrote this down in my notes. In Survivor, there's no silver bullet, right? There's no guaranteed path if you take a certain approach. But we see Adam surviving over and over again, whether it be by immunity or these bullets. So I think that Adam maybe has that silver bullet.
Yeah.
I think that maybe that was the one thing that he used to save himself tonight or in this episode.
Yeah. Players go up the votes. And this is where we need to segue a bit. Have you been following the Magic 8 Ball and its appearance through the merge episodes?
Yeah, I have noticed the 8 Ball.
Yeah, and so this episode earlier, it's at the conclusion of the auction, Boogie throws Adam a Magic 8 Ball.
Yeah.
Which I don't know where it came from. I don't know how Boogie had it. I don't know why he throws it to Adam, but he throws Adam a Magic 8 Ball. And Adam goes up to vote, plays a shot in the dark, shakes the Magic 8 Ball, and through the Magic 8 Ball decides which of the 6 scrolls he's going to grab. And from there, and like that ends up being the scroll that matters. And you even hear KC in like a post-episode little snippet is like, how is he that lucky?
Yeah, maybe it's the lucky 8 Ball. I don't know.
I don't know. The Magic 8 Ball tells all, but I was just like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is where the Magic 8 Ball comes from. This is why it's in the episode some capacity.
Well, that might have been the difference maker.
It may have been. I don't know, but it's just like I was like, we finally get. I've been obsessed with like, why is there Magic 8 Ball? We finally see because somehow Adam gets a hold of one from Boogie and uses it to decide his destiny, and it's effective.
Yeah, good for Adam. It worked.
Yeah, so we see Adam play Shot in the Dark, then we get to see the montage, very much like Micronesia when Eric goes home after giving him the necklace. We see almost every player go vote Adam, and like no one is happier than Hannah, like in her voting confessional of voting on Adam. And this is where I'm like, my concern is that Hannah is becoming so fixated on voting on Adam. Like I feel like this is like if she like I feel like this is gonna blind her if she keeps going like Adam needs to go. Like the answer is yes, but not anymore.
Yeah. Oh man.
And so yeah, so we see everyone vote except Rosie, and then Adam goes to play the Shot in the Dark. Now, up until this moment, did you think there was a chance that Adam was staying in the game?
No, I thought it was all but certain.
Oh yeah, completely the same. I was like, I thought this was Adam's like final goodbye of watching everyone vote out the last returning winner to the game.
I know, and as I watched through that tribal council, that's where I was a little bit. I was like, oh man, that stinks. Like I wish Adam didn't go out like this, but he didn't.
Now, we did hear when Mia goes to the vote, Mia is torn. She's like, I think people could be coming for me. She has like one shot in the dark now or two. No, she finds a second there, right? She finds a second hidden. So she has two. She's like, do I play these or not? And at the time I was like, Mia, why are you playing it? No one's targeting you. It's like, Mia, don't do it. It's paranoia. But maybe and even if she had played it, wouldn't have helped, right? Because Adam already got on the safety scroll out of the basket. But is there ever a world you think like Mia should have played it?
Well, I guess that's a question I guess I'd have to ask Casey. I assumed that if the scroll was taken, it was replaced, right?
Oh, I don't think so.
Is it not? Oh, well.
We've yet to see multiple players.
in the same tribal council.
Because I know in CPS Survivor that you have 12 scrolls, 2 safe, 10 non-safe, allow for 2 players to grab it. But when it's only the pre-merge, it's only 6 scrolls.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know if Casey replenishes the scrolls, allows for multiple safeties like that. I guess Mia, the better thing to do than Shot in the Dark is vote for someone else, right?
Yeah. Throw a vote on somebody else if you think. Well, yeah, if you think you're only going to get one, then maybe, play a vote on somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
If I was her, I wouldn't have done the Shot in the Dark, especially after all the talk, that we see around camp.
Yeah.
I felt like this episode, I feel like I was blindsided the most because it seemed like Adam he had no chance at all.
I was just like, this is it. Adam came, he threw all the punches he could at tribal council. Like normally people make those like big messes because they're like, I'm gone and like I need to do. I'm just like, you're playing everything, even though it's not going to work. And
we see it at the very beginning of the episode. We have that Jordan's confessional, or when she's drawing the advantage pulls, and she says, I hope Adam gets this. Like she knows that Adam's gone. Everybody else is working together in that scavenger hunt. Adam's off on his own. So it seemed like from the very beginning, he was always the number one choice.
Mm-hmm. And, Adam plays a Shot in the Dark. It reads safe. Everyone's mind is blown. I don't know if they're blown because he had a Shot in the Dark or because it came out safe out of his 1 in 6 chance. It ends up being 5 votes for Adam. And Rosie casts the only vote for Mia. And Mia goes home.
Unbelievable.
It's just fascinating. It's like where is the vote split? And the answer is I think people don't want to cause reputation damage by laying those votes out there. But oh my gosh, then this happens.
It happened. I can't believe it. I was stunned when Casey said safe. I couldn't believe it. And you could even see like the faintest smirk on Casey when he read that because he was like, "This is unbelievable."
Is there anything else you want to bring up for this episode?
I'll say that for Mia, it was a pleasure watching her this season. I just thought she was so fun. We got so many great scenes of her. Early on, she drops like an F-bomb, and just her reaction to saying it. And she lost her torch at one point. She voted for David 7 episodes after he was voted out. Just so many great things that Mia brought to this season. It was just a lot of fun to watch her, and it's sad to see her go. But that's Survivor.
Let me get something out coherently. I feel like Adam staying in the game radically changes the trajectory of the season from here. Because I think Adam's in the game makes things a lot messier and uncleaner with how the rest of this merge plays out.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Especially the way that he stayed in the game. He's survived on the 1 bullet, and then, everything that he said at Tribal Council. People could take it one of 2 ways. I think that they're like, he's still number 1 target, or he's a GOAT. Maybe I can take him to the end. I don't really see a way for him to get to the end and win, but I think that he has a huge role in how the rest of this game gets played.
Yeah, it makes you think of Deshaun in Survivor 41, where Deshaun, like at the final 5 or so, kind of rips into Erica, and the jury looks very disfavorably on that, which they don't realize until they're in the final 3, where Xander and Deshaun are both kind of like ripped into for like how they like perceived and treated people, which was very incorrect and not aligning with the jury's expectations. So maybe we'll see a bit of that, but yeah. So I think it'd be fun to talk through some likely informal power rankings, likelihood of winning the game. We have 7 players left. Who do you think? Let's go from most likely to least likely to win the game. Does anyone want to nominate for most likely to be. Or let's like most likely to be in the final three. Let's just do that. Top. Let's see who you think will be in the top three.
Most likely to be in the top three. I think the number one person at this point is probably Rosie.
Mm-hmm.
We know he's always had that relationship with Adam.
Mm-hmm.
I think Adam would take him to the final three. I think that Jordan would take him to the final three.
Mm-hmm.
We hear plans of Hannah and Griffin wanting him in the final three. I think at this point, the only people that don't want him is Megan and Dallas. So he's got a lot of options. I think that there's a lot of different ways it could go, but I think at the end he'll be sitting there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say like Griffin is probably the next likely. I think Griffin is kind of in an even nicer swing position than with Adam, given Griffin's starting connections with Megan and Dallas. So I think Griffin has a lot of leeway with where he wants to go, and I think it's just a question of can he persuade people to move this way. But I think he has a strong likelihood of getting the final three, and it's just a question of how much of being a returnee from after being voted out like factors people's perception of his game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm kind of torn between 3 and 4. I think then we have Dallas and Hannah.
Okay. I think I would go probably a different way.
How would you go?
Wait, you say Dallas and Hannah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I do see Hannah. I thought you said Dallas and Megan. Yes.
That would be a hot take.
Yes, I would have Hannah as my third most likely to make it to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think she's played a great game, especially post merge.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's done really, really well, and I think she found herself in a really good position after this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess my only concern is that like she ends up being collateral damage. Like I think that's the biggest fear. She is collateral damage to some sort of other alliance that forms.
Yeah, and I think that because we talk about Adam maybe playing a bigger role in this game, if someone else teams up with Adam, he knows Hannah's written his name down, I don't know, 3 times in a row now. So she might just be in his path.
And I say kind of Dallas and fourth because I see Dallas being able to kind of slip in where I think, if people, let's say Megan and Jordan go out in 7 and 6, I think then like he'll be kind of in a nice pivot position at final 5 and can maybe work his way in the end potentially.
Yeah, Dallas has played a really great social game. And his timing this season has been really, really well. Especially early on. He escaped a couple votes. I think with Meredith and there was one other vote that he barely survived. I think maybe when he played an Immunity Idol. So yeah, I could see him. You said 4th most likely. I'd probably have him at 5th. I'd say Jordan I would put in my 4th spot, just because I feel like she has her finger on the pulse of everything right now. We're getting her point of view. We see her game plan, and I can kind of see how she sees her path getting to the end. But I'm afraid your Hannah, Griffin, Rosie, when are they going to say it's time for Jordan to go?
Yeah, I agree that Jordan, I think, will get to final 4, final 5. I don't see Jordan getting the final 3. That's why I have her a lot lower. Or I think it's going to catch up with her, and people are going to look at her and say, "Sorry, Jordan, you win. We can't let you."
I have her going out at the final 4.
Yeah. So so I'd say like fifth in the ranking, Adam. I think after this episode, I think Adam will have a new lease on life. I think Adam pulling it out will now be more challenging as a result. And then 6, I put Jordan, and then 7, I have Megan because Megan needs a miracle to get to the end of this game.
Yeah, she does. She has an uphill battle, but she's played a good game so far. So you never know. Oh, and she keeps on finding all these immunities.
I mean, Megan might just immunity train to the end, right? That's always a possibility.
Well, she's been immune the past 3 tribal councils. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, past 4 because she played an Immunity Idol.
Has she really been
4 tribal councils in a row?
She had the challenge immunity this episode. She had the idol play the previous tribal council,
Mhm.
and then
Then we had that double, the double tribal council.
and she had the immunity necklace for that one, right?
Yep.
And then what'd she have at the merged tribal council?
At the well, that at that double elimination, wasn't she immune for both?
Yeah. So okay. So she was immune, and she was immune for the Mia. She had
Yep.
a hidden immune idol for Boogie. The Megan and Stacy, she was immune for both. But was she immune at Devontae?
She was not immune in that first one.
Yeah. So she's still okay.
Four,
Yeah. So it's
four
like,
votes in a row.
yeah. So 4 votes, 3 rounds. That's still a
Yeah.
lot. So yeah, she hasn't been an option. That's fair.
Yeah.
I think now we should talk about player of the episode. Who are we giving the Bloomy to? And would you like me to go first, or would you like to go first?
For me, it's down to 2 people, but I
Okay.
will happily let you go first. Take the lead on this one.
Yeah, I think some players in consideration for me. I think Jordan continuing to be kind of the center of the tribe, like having connections everywhere and being very insulated result. I don't think anyone is being able to make a move at 7. I think it's gonna be hard to make a move at 7 or 6 without Jordan, for Jordan's approval and being involved, and seeing her kind of like boss around Griffin. Griffin go break that up was very amusing to watch. Really showed like where she is in the game. I think you have to give a shout out to Adam for playing to his outs, playing the shot in dark, and having it be victorious. But I think a big mark on everyone this episode was the fact there was this unwillingness to split the votes and play to, and to really just ensure that like Adam or someone else that you wanted to go home. And I think I have to give the player of the week to Rosie as a result. For he gets the amulet advantage. He's able to get 3 items at auction. So clearly he was able to strategize to win as much as possible at the auction. He got the advantage. He knows who has the other advantage with Jordan, so he has that relationship. I think we're seeing him. We saw his end game, and he's the only person who might have kept it spicy, but he was the only one to call like, let me cast a vote for Mia, and he was able to make it happen. And so I have to give it to Rosie as a result, because I think he played this round as best you possibly could, where everyone else had mistakes.
Yeah, he gets my vote for the Bloomy as well, for all the same reasons. He had the guts to write down Mia's name, which is a huge, that I think that Mia would have been a huge obstacle moving forward, because we know that she had great relationships with Jordan and Hannah. Like you said, Rosie getting that advantage amulet, just a little bit more protection, which is nice moving forward. So great episodes by, of course, Adam saving himself. And we kind of, like I said, get Jordan's full game plan. And she is got a relationship with everybody. I think she has the most options right now, maybe. Most people to work with. But for this episode, Rosie definitely stepped up his game.
I think the last thing to do is, what do we think? So episode 12 probably, I think, dropped last night. We haven't seen it, but what do you think? What is your prediction for episode 12?
This is tough.
All right, hold on. So Adam told Rosie to vote Mia. So it was a good call from Adam, and the fact that Rosie followed through and did it, good for him as well.
Yeah, that's great. And that actually gives me a lot of hope for the next episode, that maybe Rosie and Adam continue that relationship. So yeah, it was a good move by Rosie. Good move. Let's see. So okay, so moving forward, you said, I think that I still think people initially, at least at the beginning of the episode, have got to still be on Adam. I think Hannah's probably still on Adam. Megan and Dallas are still on Adam. I think Adam, Griffin, and Rosie, they might be thinking it's time to go after Megan. So I think it'll come down to one of those two going home next. I don't know which one. It might depend on an immunity challenge, which, of course, Megan seems to be winning them all. So,
yeah, again, I think that in my perfect world, Hannah flips works with Adam, Rosie, and Griffin, targets Megan or Dallas. And I don't know which is the better one, the target. I think for Hannah, you want to make sure that Dallas, I think there's a chance Dallas may also try the flip as well. I'm not quite sure. But I think you see a majority of the lines, at least initially, like you said, target Adam. Maybe they say, let's take out Rosie. Let's let Adam be the decoy boot. Let's let Adam have one more round, or I don't know. But I think there's a flip. I think Megan or Dallas go home as a result.
Yeah.
Jordan is left out of the loop.
Yeah, that'll be tough.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, well, I'll say this: the next 3 people to go, I still think it's some form of Adam, Megan, then Dallas.
Yeah,
I see them being the next 3. I don't know which order they're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think it truly depends on how people are viewing Adam after that last episode, and it is. I mean, now is the time to flip. Question: who's going to do it?
Now, the wildest I think outcome would be an Adam, Dallas, Hannah, Griffin voting out Jordan. That would be a true wild outcome.
Wait, say that again. Adam, Griffin, Hannah,
and Dallas.
Yeah, that'd be tough. Yeah,
I don't think that's happening, but I think that'd be the only way I can possibly see Jordan going on a final 7 is that combination.
Yeah, I don't see Jordan going home next, but if she does, whoever leads that force to take her out, I'll say it in advance. They get my Bloomy for next week too.
I mean, the problem is whoever. So I think if you're going to take out Jordan, I think what you want to be is you want to be second command. I think let's say Hannah decides she wants to take out Jordan, you want to ensure the blame is being pinned on Griffin or Jordan. No, Griffin and Dallas. You want to make sure like one of the two looks like they were the spear while you did a lot of work, so they take the blame for it because there's going to be immediate fallout.
Yeah. Well, do you think that there's any chance that Rosie would flip on Jordan right now to try? No chance. I feel like that amulet only made that relationship a little bit closer. Yeah. And I feel like after he knows Adam's kind of at the bottom, I feel like he does have to stick by Jordan. But
because I
think that would be the most shocking. If somehow Rosie was involved,
I get the final 6.
Jordan.
It'll be me, Jordan, let's say Hannah, right? And then you can steal a vote, and so you ensure that you ensure a 4-2 at that, or so. Yeah, I think Rosie is looking to keep Jordan till the final 5, final 4.
Yeah, I think that he is too. But that would be the most shocking if somehow Rosie votes out Jordan, and then it's just chaos would ensue.
Well, I don't think I think it'd be even more shocking. But that's why it's I think you get Adam, who I think feels like he's burned the connection with Jordan. Griffin, who's itching to swing for one of the top players. You have Hannah, who's probably realizing how am I making my mark? And you have Dallas, who for Dallas, I think you're more okay letting go Jordan because that keeps Megan closer to you.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
So, well, I think we've fully exhausted the episode. But before we get going, Tyler, is there anything is there any picture, anything to say about Survivor Indiana and what your plans are for this coming summer with it?
Perfect. Yeah, Survivor Indiana. We were waiting to find out a date that would work best. So I'll announce it here live for the first time for everybody. But Survivor Indiana will be Saturday, October 26th or August 26th. August 26th. So I'll be working on applications. They'll probably be live next month. If anybody's interested to play. And then I'm working on like I said, I just learned about this whole community. So I'm working on a Facebook page and all that. Right now, we just have a private group on Facebook. But I'll get that live and applications will be open next month.
Yeah, so for those of you who are interested and want to play a competitive game in Indiana that's not Surviving Bloomington, keep your eye out for applications. There's a live reality game casting page that hopefully Tyler will be able to post things there, and as well as there's 2 live reality game groups. you will see it when the applications are out. I'm sure. And for those who want to learn more about Surviving Bloomington, there is survivingbloomington.com. The cast for the next season has been posted already. So the cast is out and live, and you can donate to the players you like best. And any donations you give them go to a charity, but also will potentially give those players advantages during the season as well. And so so get excited. A lot of good Indiana Survivor content, both Bloomington and Survivor Indiana, will be coming your way in the near future. And Tyler, I just want to say thank you so much for spending this morning talking with me. I'm glad we were able to find a time that works out. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I look forward to see what happens next.
Yeah, well, like episode 12, I believe dropped last night. So drop what you're doing and go watch it. Yeah, thank you all and have a good rest of your day.